At the dawn of time, Sumerian gods forged destinies and legends. Today, we delve into their world of powers and myths to learn about 18 gods of Sumerian mythology. Mesopotamia is known for the emergence of several important cultures. The Sumerians were the first, around 4500 BC, followed by the Akkadians in 2334 BC and the Babylonians, around 1894 BC. Although many of the gods that appear in this video have similarities to the Babylonians or Akkadians, I will try to focus on the Sumerians, as they are the original and oldest. Number 1. An. An was considered the highest god in the hierarchy of the Sumerian gods. His position was so high that he was depicted as distant and disconnected from the affairs of the lesser gods and humanity. He symbolized all that was above the earthly world. His realm was regarded as heavenly space, distant and majestic. As the god of heaven and supreme ruler of the gods, he possessed immense power and was regarded as the creator and ruler of the cosmos. He was credited with creating the universe and establishing cosmic order. In addition, he had supreme authority over the gods and human destinies. He could also confer powers and positions on other gods. An was the father of numerous gods, including Enlil and Enki, in Sumerian society, and represented order, authority, and stability. The notion that heaven is above all else and rules over the earth reflected the social and political structure of the Sumerian city-states, where a king or ruler exercised absolute power granted by the gods. The cult of An was prominent in cities such as Uruk and Ur. He had dedicated temples, although in time his cult was overtaken in importance by gods such as Enlil and Marduk. In Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki were the children of An, the sky god, and Ki, the earth goddess. Number 2. Enlil. Enlil was considered one of the most powerful gods, seen as the leader of the Sumerian pantheon after his father An. He was the god of air, wind, and storms, with powers over weather and crops. Son of An and Ki, Enlil played a central role in Sumerian mythology. He was the brother of Enki, another important god, and father of numerous deities, including Nana, god of the moon, Utu, god of the sun, and Inanna, goddess of love and war. Enlil was revered throughout Sumeria and was credited with creating and maintaining order in the universe. His connection with the earth and sky positioned him as a mediator between the gods and mankind. He had the power to decree the destinies of gods and mortals. Enlil's main center of worship was the city of Nippur, where his great temple, the Akur, was located. This temple was one of the most important and sacred in Sumer, and was considered the abode of Enlil on earth. Enlil was depicted as a divine king, wearing the horned crown, a symbol of divinity in Mesopotamia. As the god of the air, he was associated with the breath of life and the power to give and take life. For example, in the Sumerian flood myth, it is Enlil who decides to send the flood to purge mankind, although he later regrets his actions. He also had a role as protector and benefactor of mankind. He granted kings their right to rule and supervised their actions to ensure order and justice. Number 3. Enki. Enki is one of the main gods. He is considered the god of wisdom, magic, water, intelligence, and creation. Enki is the son of An, the sky god, and Namu, the primordial sea goddess. He is also the brother of Enlil, as we saw earlier. Enki is strongly associated with water and is considered the lord of the Abzu, the underground fresh waters. He is depicted with streams of water emanating from his shoulders, symbolizing the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. In Sumerian art, Enki is depicted as a bearded figure, wearing a horned crown, a symbol of divinity, and surrounded by aquatic symbols such as fish and streams. The main center of Enki's worship was the city of Eridu, considered to be one of the oldest cities in Sumer. In Eridu, Enki was believed to dwell in the temple of Iabzu, associated with a sacred watery abyss. This god played a crucial role in the creation of mankind. He is credited with forming the first humans from mud. Enki is known for his benevolent attitude towards humans. In several myths, he acts as a protector and savior of mankind, intervening on their behalf and granting them knowledge and skills. Enki is the god of intelligence and knowledge, and is associated with all kinds of arts, crafts, and sciences. He was the patron of craftsmen, builders, priests, and magicians. He appears in numerous Sumerian legends and myths, including stories about the creation of the world, the flood, and the adventures of gods and heroes. Number 4. Ninhursag. Ninhursag is known by several names, each reflecting different aspects of its character and function. As Ninhursag, she is identified primarily with the earth and the mountain, as Nintu, with motherhood, and as Ninma, with the Great Mother Goddess. Ninhursag is one of the main goddesses in the Sumerian pantheon. She is regarded as the mother of the gods and of mankind. This goddess is widely recognized as the goddess of fertility and the earth. She is credited with creating life and nature. Ninhursag has complex relationships with other Sumerian gods. In several myths, she interacts closely with Enki, sometimes assisting him in his creative or healing endeavors. In Sumerian art, she is depicted as a maternal goddess, adorned with symbols of fertility and abundance, such as plants and animals, as well as a horned crown, a symbol of divinity in Mesopotamia. She was worshipped in several important centers in Sumer. Her cult was associated with health and fertility, and her temples served as centers of healing and care. Number 5. Utu. Utu is the sun god in Sumerian mythology. He represents the sun and also the concepts of justice, morality, and truth. His presence in the daytime sky symbolizes enlightenment, clarity, and the visibility of truth. Utu was worshipped throughout Sumer, but his main center of worship was in the city of Sippar. At Sippar, it was believed that Utu ascended each morning from his temple to begin his journey through the sky. Utu is depicted emerging from the eastern mountains at dawn, showing the rising sun. He is shown as a majestic being, wearing a horned crown and often wielding a scepter or weapon, symbolic of his authority and power. Utu is considered the guardian of law and moral order, charged with the maintenance of balance and justice in the human world. His intervention in human and divine affairs shows his importance as a mediator and judge. He is also considered a protector of travelers and heroes. In some stories, he helps heroes in their adventures, guiding them and giving advice. Number 6. Inanna. Inanna is the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, war, justice, and political power. She represents both the generous and creative aspects of love, as well as the destructive and belligerent aspects of war. Artistic representations of Inanna include elements such as the 8-pointed star, a horned crown, and sometimes wings, highlighting her celestial nature. Daughter of Nannar, the moon god, and sister of Utu, the sun god, Inanna is deeply integrated into the Sumerian family of deities. She was especially revered in the city of Uruk, where she had a great temple, but her cult was widespread throughout Sumer. Uruk was considered her chief city, and ceremonies and festivals were held in her honor. Inanna is depicted bearing weapons of war and riding a lion, showing her warlike and powerful nature. She is also associated with the planet Venus, appears in numerous Sumerian stories and legends. One of the best-known stories is the descent of Inanna to the underworld, where she travels to the world of the dead, facing various trials and finally resurrecting. On the one hand, she is the goddess who promotes fertility and love. On the other, she is a relentless warrior and strategist on the battlefield. Number 7. Ereshkigal. Ereshkigal is the reigning goddess of the underworld, known as Kur. She rules the realm of the dead, a shadowy place where souls reside after death. Ereshkigal is identified as the sister of Inanna, the goddess of love and war. This relationship is central to several Sumerian myths, as we saw earlier with the famous descent of Inanna to the underworld. Ereshkigal is associated with darkness, death, and rebirth. Unlike her sister Inanna, who represents life, Ereshkigal symbolizes the inevitability of death and the dark aspect of existence. Kur, the kingdom of Ereshkigal, is a distant and desolate place inhabited by spirits and ghostly beings. As its ruler, Ereshkigal has the power to judge and dictate the fate of souls, representing the cycle of life and death, as well as the power and authority over the unseen realm of the dead. Number 8. Nanna. Nana is the moon god. He represents the luminosity of the night, the lunar cycle, and is associated with wisdom and fertility. Nana is the son of Enlil, the god of air, and Ninlil, a goddess of grain. He is married to Ningal and is the father of Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and Utu, the sun god. Nana was worshipped in Ur, where he had a large temple called Ikishnugal. His cult was also important in Haran. Nana is associated with serenity and the calming power of the moon. In Sumerian art, he is depicted in a celestial boat. As a lunar god, he is also associated with the cycle of time and calendars. The moon played an important role in Sumerian astrology and divination. Rituals to Nanar reflected the lunar cycles and were important for divination and the interpretation of omens. Number 9. Ki. Ki is the goddess of the earth, representing the physical aspect of the world. She is the consort of An, and together they are the parents of other important gods. As an earth goddess, Ki symbolizes fertility, nature, and sustenance. She is connected with the earth and all that it provides for humanity and the gods. Although she does not appear as much in myths and legends as other Sumerian deities, as an earth goddess, she is crucial to the balance of the world. Ki represents life on earth. Fertility and agricultural production was vital to ancient societies, which depended on the land for their survival. This made Kai a particularly relevant goddess. Number 10. Namu. Namu is the primordial goddess, representing the original chaotic waters that existed before the creation of the world. She is the origin of everything, the primordial source from which the gods and the cosmos emerged. She is the mother of An, the god of the sky, and Ki, the goddess of the earth. Namu symbolizes unformed chaos and the potential for creation, represents the state before the creation of the structured order of the universe and Sumerian beliefs about the origins of the universe. Number 11. Dumuzi. Dumuzi is the god of fertility, vegetation, cattle, and shepherds. He represents the vitality of nature. Dumuzi is Inanna's consort or lover. He embodies the annual cycle of growth and decay in nature. When Inanna descends to the underworld, Dumuzi takes her place for part of the year. Their annual death and resurrection are linked to the seasons and agricultural cycles. He represents death in the heat of summer and his resurrection with the arrival of vegetation in spring. In art, it is often shown accompanied by fertility symbols such as plants and animals. Number 12. Ninlil. Ninlil was the goddess or mistress of the air and consort of Enlil. Originally called Sud, she adopted the name Ninlil when she joined Enlil. She lived in Dilmun, and according to the text of Enlil and Ninlil, she was raped by Enlil while bathing naked in the river. Some have associated her with the origin of Lilith. Ninlil shared many functions with Enlil, especially in the declaration of destinies, and was considered a major deity in the Mesopotamian pantheon. In addition to her role in the Sumerian pantheon, Ninlil was also incorporated into the Hurrian religion, where she and Enlil were considered part of a group of primeval gods who resided in the underworld. I would like to take this opportunity to say that this, like many other videos, comes out thanks to your suggestions and comments, so I encourage you to continue participating by proposing themes for future videos. Number 13. Ashnan. Ashnan is the Sumerian goddess of grain and agriculture. She is the one who decides abundance and prosperity with crops and agricultural production. According to Sumerian myths, Ashnan was created to provide food and sustenance for the gods and mankind. Her existence is linked to the well-being of Sumerian society, which depended heavily on agriculture. Ashnan represents grain and the fertility of the land. Number 14. Nergal. Nergal is the god of war, plague, destruction, and the underworld. His cult was connected with rituals of protection against disease and calamity, as well as with funerary practices and veneration of the dead. There is a well-known myth that tells how Nergal, god of war, left the heaven of the gods to go to the underworld, where he was eventually seduced by Ereshkigal and became the king of the underworld. The truth is, this is one of the myths that I liked the most. I am preparing a shorter video in which I will tell you the story of how Nergal became the god of the underworld along with his beloved Ereshkigal If you don't want to miss it, I recommend you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Number 15. Ningish Zeta. Ningish Zeta is the god of vegetation and is related to the underworld. This deity had various representations, sometimes as a serpent with a human head, was known as the Lord of the Tree of Life, and associated with the symbol of the twisted staff, which represents intertwined serpents. In the underworld, he held the office of throne-bearer, but also had links with nature as the god of tree roots. This connected Ningish Zeta with the underworld. Number 16. Nanshe. Nanshe was the daughter of the god Enki and was associated with a variety of aspects, including dreams, prophecy, justice, dream interpretation, and water. One of Nanshe's main characteristics was her ability to interpret dreams and intuit people's futures. Because of her high status as a prophetess, she was considered to be able to foresee the future of both humans and deities. Her main temple was in the city of Nina. She also had a special connection with the springs of the underworld, which were associated with prophecy, and at least once a year she participated as a judge of each person's deeds. Nanshe was linked with water, particularly with the open sea and marshy areas. She was depicted playing with the waves and sea foam, or being born on the seashore. She was also associated with the animals that inhabited these biomes, especially fish and birds. In addition to being a prophetess and judge, Nanshe taught dream interpretation to Sumerian and Babylonian priests. She was considered a protector of orphans, widows, and the poor. Number 17. Ningal. Ningal is known as the goddess of reeds and a lunar deity. She is best known for being the wife of Nana, the moon god, and the mother of Inanna and of Utu. She is the daughter of Enki and Ningikuga. Her relationship with Nana and the importance of her children place her in an important position in Sumerian mythology. She is often shown as an elegant female figure, associated with lunar symbols and with reeds, which are her emblem. The cult of Ningal was notable in the main centers of her husband's worship. Number 18. Geshtinana. Geshtinana was associated primarily with dream interpretation and prophecy. Although a minor goddess in general, she had her own temple at Girsu. She was considered a wise and perceptive figure. Is best known for her role in the myth of the descent of Inanna. In this myth, after her brother Dumuzid is condemned to the underworld, she chooses to share his fate. This act is seen as an example of brotherly loyalty and sacrifice, and going from hot to cold. Do you know the creatures of the Inuit mythology? Here you are so you don't miss it. Remember to like, subscribe, or comment before closing the video. It really helps me a lot.